Kamaru Usman doesn't believe Dana White's story about Francis Ngannou getting physical during a meeting, at least not the way the UFC CEO described it. White recently recounted an incident on a podcast where things allegedly turned confrontational between him and the former heavyweight champion. According to White's version, Ngannou grabbed him by the shirt and pushed him back into his office during a heated discussion. White claims Ngannou then did the same thing to UFC Chief Business Officer Hunter Campbell. The altercation supposedly stemmed from Ngannou being upset about not receiving a Fight of the Night bonus after a victory. Usman addressed the story on his Pound for Pound podcast with co-host Henry Cejudo, immediately expressing skepticism about White's account. He clarified he wasn't present for the meeting, but doesn't think events unfolded the way White described them. Cejudo interrupted, asking directly if Usman was calling White a liar. Usman quickly backtracked, insisting he absolutely wasn't making that accusation. He simply finds the scenario difficult to believe based on how White painted the picture. Usman broke down why the story seems questionable. The image White creates involves Ngannou telling Dana to get back in his office, demanding he pull out his checkbook and write a $50,000 check. Then, supposedly Ngannou stopped Hunter Campbell from leaving, telling him they weren't done talking. That specific sequence of events strains credibility in Usman's mind. The former welterweight champion explained his reasoning. Francis Ngannou carries an intimidating aura that makes people cautious around him. Everyone knows they need to be on their best behavior because of his physical presence and fighting background. That scary aura is undeniable. However, Usman argues Dana White possesses a different but equally powerful aura. As the head of the UFC and one of combat sports' most influential figures, White commands respect and careful conduct from everyone in his orbit. People moving around Dana know they must behave accordingly because of his position and authority. The dynamic between these two powerful personalities makes the story hard to accept as told. Would Ngannou really physically manhandle the UFC president and chief business officer over a bonus dispute? Would White allow that to happen without immediate consequences? The power dynamics don't add up for Usman. Usman has strong personal connections to Ngannou through their shared history. They were part of the African Three Kings when Usman, Ngannou, and Isaka Adesanya all held UFC titles simultaneously. That represented a historic moment for African fighters achieving the sport's highest levels. Ngannou has consistently supported Usman throughout his career. He even appeared on stage during ceremonial weigh-ins for Usman's most recent fight against Joaquin Buckley in June. That support continued despite Ngannou's falling out with the UFC after signing with PFL, demonstrating genuine friendship beyond promotional politics. Given their relationship, Usman feels comfortable questioning White's narrative without directly calling him dishonest. He's simply suggesting the incident might not have occurred exactly as the quote made it sound. The way White told the story creates a specific mental picture that doesn't align with what Usman knows about both men. Usman emphasized he's not declaring White's account completely false. He's merely proposing that perhaps the situation went down differently than the quote suggested. The details might have been embellished or misremembered, creating a more dramatic version than what actually happened. Ngannou has not publicly commented on the situation yet. His silence leaves only White's version circulating without contradiction or confirmation from the other party involved. Until Ngannou addresses the story, speculation will continue about what really happened during that meeting. The controversy highlights ongoing tensions between Ngannou and the UFC despite their departure. Their contentious contract negotiations and eventual split left bad feelings on both sides that occasionally surface through stories like this one.